Discover the incredible moment a black cleaner's daughter changed a millionaire's life with one conversation. The night was alive. Street vendors called out, children raced through the bustling neighborhood, and the air was thick with anticipation. It was at the community center, painted bright and welcoming, where Patricia stood, her heart pounding. The goal was simple: raise awareness, bridge gaps, and connect. Little did she know, tonight would be the night that unraveled the fabric of her world and changed a millionaire's fate forever. Patricia glanced around, taking in the sea of faces. Many were of families like hers, working hard just to get by. Her father, worn but proud, was somewhere in the crowd. He worked as a janitor, a veteran who wore his uniform like his badge of honor. Her mother was hustling through another double shift, her love and sacrifices fueling Patricia's dream of one day donning a white coat and healing those who needed it the most. But here, as a modest girl in a room full of privilege, she felt the weight of disparity like a heavy stone in her chest. As the evening progressed, she found herself seated next to Henry Caldwell, a man whose very presence screamed success. Fine suit, polished shoes. Yet, when he spoke, his voice carried a hint of sadness, as though the riches he'd amassed had stripped him of something far more precious: fulfillment. For Henry, laughter didn't come easily, he felt like a ghost among the living. Yet, in that communal space, Patricia's spirit seemed to light up. She shared her dreams with him, her voice steady and unyielding, as warm smiles and laughter surrounded them. Hope sparkled in her eyes. "You know," she said, her words laced with a fervor, "I want to become a doctor. Change the narrative for my family. I want to help people. I want them to feel seen." Henry shifted. Her words reverberated through him, sparking distant memories of when he'd had dreams, too. The way she talked, it was like fire igniting fuel. But as he offered her a scholarship, the moment felt heavy. What had begun as a spark might just become a gilded cage. To Patricia, this was a stranger's help, a reminder of all she'd yet to overcome. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The air was tense. "You don't know, Henry. This isn't just a ticket to college, it's a reminder that I'm just another project to you. You can't fix me or my world with money." The words hung between them, raw and unnerving. Henry's heart pounded. He now understood wealth had not freed him from the bondages of empathy and vulnerability. As Patricia's voice rose with passionate conviction, echoing beyond the confines of privilege, families listened intently. A movement was stirring, a hunger that transcended not just social class but was a call for respect and change. Patricia stood strong, eyes glossed but fierce, compelling even Henry to look deeper within himself. In that moment of connection, the reality of their worlds so starkly different yet intertwined challenged the very foundation of their lives. As the night unfolded, the question loomed: could Henry and Patricia navigate this tangled web of ambition and privilege? Could they become catalysts for change? This was just the beginning. The silence in the room thickened, a kind of quiet that echoed with the possibility of change. Around them, the crowd had shifted, their eyes drawn to the tense exchange. Faces once animated with laughter now wore expressions of concern, some even nodding along with Patricia's outburst. Henry felt his chest constrict. He had always seen himself as a benefactor, a man who could lift others from their struggles. But Patricia wasn't just a project to be saved, she was a voice calling for understanding, a reminder that true connection was about far more than charity. He met her gaze, trying to convey that he understood, but words tangled in his throat. I didn't mean it like that," he finally managed, his voice shaking slightly. "I just thought what?" Patricia interrupted, her words igniting passion in the room once more. "That you could swoop in, write a check, and somehow everything would be okay. My life isn't a donation drive, Henry. I have dreams, struggles, and a family that needs more than just your good intentions. The tension crackled. Henry found himself not just listening to her words but absorbing the truth behind them. This wasn't just a girl speaking, this was a generation echoing her struggle. The gravity of his privilege hit harder than a cold wave. Patricia's heart raced. The battle against her own fears surged within her. She had spoken her truth, but now she wondered if she'd gone too far. The weight of countless judgments loomed, especially from people she'd known all her life who had never understood her ambition. A knot tightened in her stomach, and she took a deep breath, grounding herself. I'm sorry, she said, her voice softer now yet still filled with strength. I didn't mean to shout. I just want to be seen not as a charity case, but as someone who can make a difference. I want to matter. For a moment, the energy shifted. The gathering was no longer just a platform for wealthy donors but a shared space where struggles collided and hopes intermingled. Families leaned closer, silent witnesses to this pivotal moment. The murmurs around them began to rise, fueled by empathy and a collective desire for change. A woman in the crowd nodded vigorously, her tears brimming with understanding. You tell em, girl. She called out, igniting a ripple of support that in that moment, Henry realized the transformative power of vulnerability. I don't want to be just a distant benefactor, he admitted, swallowing hard. You're right. I want to understand. I want to do more than just give money, I want to be part of this journey. Patricia looked at him, shock flashing across her face. Was this actually happening? Could a man like Henry Caldwell truly understand her world? She wanted to believe him, but doubt whispered in the back of her mind. I might not have all the answers, Henry continued, his voice steady now, but I do want to be here for you. Let us work together. What you're doing it matters. And I want to support that. Patricia hesitated, her heart racing. Could she dare to trust someone who had everything she believed she was fighting against? As the crowd erupted into applause, Patricia felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. This could be a turning point, not just for her, but for others like her. Perhaps this was more than just a chance at a scholarship, maybe it was a chance to change the narrative, but as the energy surged and conversations bubbled up around her, another thought surfaced: what would this partnership really mean for both of them? Could they navigate their starkly different worlds without losing themselves in the process? The night felt charged with potential, but uncertainty lingered. Little did they know, the real challenges were still ahead, waiting just around the corner. And as that thought whispered in the back of her mind, Patricia knew one thing was clear: the journey they were embarking on would require more than just good intentions, it would demand courage from both of them. Where would this path lead them? Only time would tell. The applause slowly faded, leaving a hum of excitement in the air. As Patricia absorbed the warmth of the crowd's support, she couldn't shake the uncertainty that clawed at her heart. Henry's offer flickered like a candle in a dark room, faint yet full of potential. But could she trust him? Let us step outside, Henry suggested, motioning toward the patio. His face was earnest, and Patricia nodded, unsure of what lay ahead but ready to explore the possibilities that had just been laid before her. Outside, cool night air wrapped around them, providing a stark contrast to the warmth of the gathering. Stars twinkled above, each one a small dream waiting to be realized. Patricia leaned against the railing, gazing at the night sky, while Henry stood beside her, his posture reflecting a man who was striving to make sense of this new dynamic. Why me? Patricia asked, breaking the silence. The question hung heavy between them. What makes me so special that you want to get involved in my life? Henry sighed, rubbing the back of his neck, his mind racing. Because I see something in you, Patricia. Something real. It's not just about helping, but about growing together. You have fire, passion, something most of us lose somewhere along the way. Her expression softened but didn't fully yield. That sounds nice, but what do you really know about struggle? You see me as some kind of project. What is going to happen when the novelty wears off? He turned to her, gaze unwavering. I want to understand. I want to learn from you. I know I can't erase the privilege I've had, but I don't want that to stop me from doing something meaningful with it. You teach me, and I'll support you however you need. Patricia bit her lip, fighting the flood of emotions threatening to spill out. Trust wasn't her strong suit, and yet Henry's dedication felt refreshing. It was as if he was offering her a lifeline, not just a way out. She broke eye contact, looking out into the darkness. I'm scared, Henry. Scared that I'll open up, and when it's too late, you'll just disappear. I won't, I promise, he stated firmly, and for a moment, she believed him. Let me be part of your vision. Let us make something happen together. Show me what this fight looks like. Patricia felt an urge to cry. This was more than she expected from anyone, especially a man from his world. What if I can't live up to your expectations? What if I fail? Then we'll figure it out together, he reassured her, his voice gentle yet confident. Life isn't just about success. It's about the journey. And it sounds like yours is worth every step. She looked back up at him. His sincerity had reached a part of her that had been shielded for too long. Perhaps allowing him in could lead to something transformative. Okay. I'll try. But understand I might need time. Time is all I ask, he replied, relief washing over his features. Just as that prospect of partnership blossomed, a loud laugh echoed from inside the building, reminding them of the world they were stepping into. Patricia turned, tension creeping back in. And what if they don't accept what we're trying to do? They will see what we show them, Henry said firmly, encouraged. She took a deep breath, okay. But we'll have to confront them together. I won't do it alone. Together, Henry echoed, the word hanging between them like a promise. The moment felt monumental, filled with hope and uncertainty, but Patricia's heart felt lighter. She glimpsed a path forward, illuminated by their shared commitment. But as they turned to head back, Patricia glanced up at the stars once more. What awaited them was still cloaked in shadows, challenges that could test their resolve. Facing the world is one thing, she murmured, her conviction building, but facing the truths inside us? That's a whole different story. With this weight hanging in the air, Patricia knew the real journey was just beginning. And as they moved back toward the gathering, she couldn't shake the question: would they be strong enough to confront their own fears, or would the shadows pull them apart? Stepping back inside was like entering another realm. The brightness and buzz of the crowd washed over them, wrapping them in the familiar yet intimidating embrace of their separate worlds. Laughter and clinking glasses bounced off the walls, creating an almost dizzying atmosphere. As Patricia scanned the room, a knot formed in her stomach. Henry stood close, his presence solid and reassuring. We'll do it together, he whispered, sensing her hesitation. She shot him a quick smile, but her heart raced. There was no going back now. They walked toward a group gathered near the bar, where familiar faces turned to greet them. Patricia's heart sank as the conversation seemed to stall, caught off guard by their return. She swallowed hard, her grip tightening on her drink. Hey, you made it back! Exclaimed Lisa, a bubbly woman with shoulder-length curls, breaking the tense silence. We're just talking about our plans for the summer festival. Isn't it exciting? Patricia nodded, trying to disguise the swell of nerves. Yeah, sounds great, she replied, forcing the words out more enthusiastically than she felt. She could sense the underlying scrutiny in Lisa's tone. Henry jumped in, his voice warm and inviting. Patricia has some unique ideas for this year's festival. I'm looking forward to hearing what she thinks. His eyes sparkled with encouragement, and she felt her face flush. The group exchanged glances, eyebrows raised, and the air thickened with unspoken judgments. Really? Like what? Questioned another voice, Mark, an old connection of Henry's who always seemed skeptical of anyone outside his social circle. Patricia's heart thudded painfully in her chest. Well, she hesitated, words dancing just out of reach. until suddenly she felt Henry's hand lightly touch her back, steadying her. It was a reminder that she wasn't alone. Think about including local talent for entertainment, Henry suggested, leaning in. People love seeing fresh perspectives, right? The group considered this, and a few nods affirmed the idea. Patricia's heart swelled at Henry's support, but doubt shadowed the lightness. I mean, what do we really know about those communities? The question hung in the air, and Patricia could feel the tension prickling at her skin. It brought her back to her earlier fears. She'd spent so much time bridging these two worlds, yet here they were, still disconnected. I think that's exactly the point, she found herself saying, surprising even herself. We don't always have to know everything to include each other. That's what festivals are for, to celebrate our diversity. The silence was palpable. It felt like an invisible spotlight had turned on her, revealing her insecurities along with her determination. Would they accept this honest glimpse of her authentic self? Wow, Patricia, I never thought of it that way, Lisa finally said. There was sincerity in her voice, a crack in the wall that Patricia hoped would widen. Seriously, mixing it up could benefit everyone, Mark added, still skeptical but softening. And just then, Patricia dared to meet Henry's gaze. There was pride in his eyes, and it lit a fire within her. Maybe they could bridge that gap, maybe they could change perceptions together. As the conversation picked up again, Patricia felt her confidence rise, buoyed by the delight of unveiling her thoughts. She had faced her fear, and in doing so, had illuminated a path forward for others to follow, but as laughter erupted around them, a shiver ran down her spine. She knew that the challenge wasn't just with the crowd in front of her. It was with the shadows lurking near her heart. Would she ultimately allow herself to be seen and celebrated, or retreat into safer, darker corners? And then the question loomed larger than ever: what else would she have to confront within herself to truly embrace this new connection? Patricia felt a surge of adrenaline course through her veins. The atmosphere buzzed around her, alive and crackling, but all she could focus on was Henry's unwavering support beside her. She took a breath. The taste of stale air mingled with the sharp aroma of whiskey and the sweetness of sugary cocktails, grounding her in the moment. Patricia. You're back and ready to get involved, right? Lisa's cheery voice snapped her from her thoughts, and she turned to face her friend, gauging the sincerity behind the challenge. We need all hands on deck if we want this year's festival to be a hit. Of course. Patricia replied, layering her excitement with determination. I'll gather some ideas and we can brainstorm together. That's the spirit. Mark exclaimed, his previous skepticism scarcely lingering. Yet as the conversation spiraled into the details of logistics and volunteer shifts, Patricia felt the familiar flicker of doubt return. What if her ideas weren't good enough? What if they laughed again behind her back? But instead of retreating into that mental space, she recalled the proud glint in Henry's eyes. He believed in her, and that meant everything. As she turned back to the group, she saw a new light reflected in their eyes, a hint of curiosity, perhaps even respect. Let us also focus on engaging the community, maybe even start with a contest to showcase local talent. This time, Patricia's voice rang with confidence. Now that's a great idea. Lisa responded immediately, her bright demeanor returning. We can reach out to schools, clubs, it could really bring everyone together. As the conversation flowed, the original echoes of doubt began to fade, replaced by laughter and even a few playful jabs from Mark about his own lack of artistic talent. Patricia felt warmth creeping into her chest, confidence building with every passing moment. For the first time, she was part of the conversation, not just the observer. The night felt electric, alive with possibilities. Yet, deep inside, she still sensed the shadows lurking, the fear of losing herself in the chaos, of being judged. She glanced towards Henry, the anchor in the swirling sea of social expectations. They had come so far together. Hey, can I ask you something? She said quietly, stepping away from the group momentarily. Sure, what's on your mind? Henry looked at her, a crease of concern forming between his brows. What if they don't get it? What if I take too many risks, and it backfires? He studied her for a moment, his expression softening. Patricia, every single time you step out like this, you inspire others. Even if someone disagrees, your perspective matters. Just keep being you. That's more than enough. His words washed over her. She could feel the warmth spreading through her heart again, igniting a determination she hadn't fully tapped into before. With a lighter heart, she returned to the group, where laughter erupted again as Mark told a ridiculous story about a failed attempt at karaoke. As the night wore on, the energy shifted, a new bond was forming, one based on acceptance and shared dreams. They all leaned in together for ideas, a tapestry of hopes weaving among them. Yet even as joy enveloped her, a nagging question lingered: what if stepping into this new version of herself meant confronting more than just external challenges? Day by day, what parts of her would she have to peel back to reveal her truest self? Just then, a sharp sound pierced through the lively chatter, a glass shattering on the floor. The room turned silent, all eyes darting toward the source, anticipation thick in the air. What now? Patricia thought, her heart racing again, as she braced herself for whatever might come next. Patricia's breath caught in her throat, echoing the sudden stillness around her. The glass lay shattered on the floor, fragments catching the dim light like fallen stars. Her heart raced as she scanned the crowd, searching for the source of the commotion. In the corner, a young woman stood, a look of disbelief etched on her face. She clutched a napkin, the remnants of her drink spilling across the table. The laughter and chatter that filled the room moments ago faded into an awkward silence, heavy with uncertainty. Is everyone okay? Lisa rushed towards her, concern etched on her features. I'm so sorry. It slipped, the woman stammered, her cheeks turning crimson as eyes fell on her. Patricia felt a pang of empathy. It had been a tough spot, a slip that could happen to anyone, but the weight of judgment hung thick in the air. Hey, don't worry about it. Mark piped up with a grin, trying to diffuse the tension. You'd be surprised how many leading ladies have a flair for dramatic entrances. Just like that. He attempted a theatrical flourish, a wink in the direction of the young woman, but the room remained still. Patricia's instincts kicked in. Stepping forward, she was surprised at how her feet moved without hesitation. Let us help clean it up. Her voice broke the icy silence, carrying warmth back into the atmosphere. Accidents happen. Just think of it as a modern art installation. The laughter broke through, timid but genuine. It reminded her that lightness could always follow the heaviness if someone dared to reach for it. Patricia knelt to collect the shards, the rush of camaraderie growing as others joined her side. Thank you, the young woman whispered, crouching beside Patricia. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I just wanted to enjoy the evening like everyone else. Patricia's heart swelled with empathy. We've all been there. Remember, everyone here has a story. It takes bravery to put yourself out there, even for something as simple as a night out. Just look at what we're all trying to do with the festival. Their eyes met, and the woman's expression shifted from embarrassment to gratitude. You're right. Thank you for reminding me of that. As they worked together to scoop up the glass, the atmosphere in the room shifted, loosening the tension. The group began to share their own awkward moments, laughter flowing more freely. Patricia's spirit soared as she watched the camaraderie unfold. She felt a flutter of hope blooming inside her. Perhaps, just perhaps, stepping past the fear of vulnerability opened a path to connection. With every joke shared, every reluctant smile exchanged, she glimpsed a version of herself, someone who was capable of uplifting others, standing in her truth. Yet, just as she began to feel the warmth of connection settling in her, a sharp voice pulled her back. You think being a part of this makes you special? Mark's tone cast a chill, interrupting the moment. You're just a nobody who got lucky tonight. The room quieted again, the fragile thread of joy hanging by a thread. Patricia's heart sank. Was this the moment she feared all along? Would she lose everything she had just gained? As she turned to look at Henry's reassuring face, she felt the familiar fire ignite within her once more. But the question loomed larger than her fears. What if embracing her voice meant facing down critiques she'd never anticipated from friends? Patricia straightened, ready to respond, but before she could speak, a figure emerged from the back of the room, a man with a commanding presence and a curious glint in his eyes. "Excuse me, but I couldn't help but overhear." The energy shifted once again, anticipation buzzing in the air as the crowd turned to face him. She could feel the world pivoting around her, a lingering question teasing her senses. Was this the moment that could change everything they had just built or tear it apart completely? The man stepped forward, his slim figure breaking the tension like a breath of fresh air. He looked around, acknowledging the crowd with a warm smile that radiated confidence. His gaze landed on Patricia, and for a moment, it felt like the room shrank down to the two of them. "My name is Thomas," he announced, his voice smooth but firm. "I was just passing by and couldn't help but notice the commotion. It seems like you've all created quite a scene over here." The crowd shifted, curiosity mingling with the uncertainty of earlier. Mark's frown deepened, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face, but he kept quiet for the moment, perhaps sensing a shift in the room's dynamics. "I saw your empathy at work," Thomas continued, directing his attention toward Patricia. "That kind of kindness is hard to find these days. It takes courage to put yourself out there, just like this young woman has done." He gestured to the girl still beside Patricia, who seemed to be absorbing Thomas's words like a lifeline. A ripple of murmur spread through the group, people exchanging glances. Was it really possible that this stranger would lift them from the awkwardness that threatened to sink them? Patricia felt a flush of warmth spread across her cheeks as Thomas spoke. His appreciation for her attempt to foster connection ignited an unexpected thrill in her heart. But what did he see in her? A part of her felt like an imposter, unsure if she was worthy of his praise. "Cheers to brave souls," Thomas said, lifting a non-existent glass in a cheering motion. "Sometimes, we all just need a little reminder that vulnerability is where true connection happens. It's what makes us real." Patricia felt her heart begin to race. This stranger had a magnetic energy, pulling everyone back into an orbit of laughter and openness. As the murmurs of agreement echoed around her, she saw the young woman next to her lift her chin, a spark igniting behind her eyes. "Thank you for saying that," the woman replied, voice louder now. I thought I might just ruin everyone's night." "No way." Thomas chuckled, shaking his head. "You've given everyone here a reason to connect, to remember that we all stumble sometimes." The atmosphere shifted further, with nods and murmured agreements pulsing through the crowd. Patricia felt the warmth radiating from her small group of newfound friends. They were all in this together, each one of them sharing pieces of their stories, each one of them vulnerable in their own way. Mark's expression darkened. "You don't know what you're talking about," he replied, arms crossed tightly. "This is supposed to be a classy event. You think a few kind words can fix it?" But Thomas brushed off the negativity with a wave of his hand. "Class is more than how you dress or where you stand. It's how you choose to treat each other." He paused, letting his gaze sweep over the room once more. "And it's one's heart that defines true class." The crowd murmured in realization. Patricia could feel her hands trembling slightly, the fire within her had bloomed bright, and she wanted to speak, to share her thoughts. But what if Thomas's words had built a bridge she dared not cross? What if Mark's dismissive attitude ever gained traction again? With a breath, Patricia stepped forward, her voice breaking the electric silence. "I think we all came here hoping to connect. Can we do this together?" A shy smile danced on her lips, carrying with it a weight of hope. Just then, the previous tension was interrupted by a sudden commotion outside the venue. A loud crash echoed, shaking not just the walls but the very energy of the gathering. Gasps filled the room as everyone turned toward the entrance. Patricia's heart raced again, uncertain of what this meant. The energy shifted once more, pulling her in different directions. "What now?" she whispered to herself, bracing for whatever came next. The room held its breath. The crash outside reverberated like a clap of thunder, scattering uneasy energy throughout the gathering. Patricia gripped the edge of the nearest table, her heart pounding against her chest. She exchanged glances with Thomas, who now wore a look of determination that seemed to pierce through the room's growing anxiety. "Everyone, stay calm." Thomas's voice rang out, commanding yet soothing. "Let us see what's going on." Mark uncrossed his arms, his earlier bravado fading, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. A few guests began to shuffle toward the door, drawn by instinct, while others appeared rooted in place, hesitant to abandon the haven of the gathering. The murmur of concern grew, and Patricia's instincts screamed for action. "Wait!" she called out, her voice gaining strength in the face of chaos. "Maybe we should stick together. If it's serious, we shouldn't separate." Patricia's suggestion struck a chord, and several heads nodded in agreement. The atmosphere transformed slightly, tightening into a compact unit against the unknown. There was an electric hum of shared resolve now, inspired by the brave empowerment Thomas had just instigated. Thomas looked at Patricia, his eyes sparkling with a blend of admiration and understanding. "Right," he said, taking her hand. "Together, then." Just as Patricia felt a flicker of hope ignite between them, the venue's entrance burst open, and a young man stumbled inside. He was disheveled, breathless, and covered in dust. The crowd gasped, instinctively retreating. "What happened?" someone shouted. "There's been an accident. A car knocked over a power line down the street." The young man gasped. "People are hurt. They need help." Patricia instinctively clutched Thomas's hand tighter. The room was thrown into a chaotic swirl of thoughts and reactions. Some guests looked concerned, while others seemed more interested in finding their phones to call for assistance. Yet, as the reality of the situation sunk in, Patricia felt an urgent swell of compassion. "It's not just about us," she implored, raising her voice above the rising tension. "People are in need. We can't stand here while others are suffering." As she spoke, Patricia noticed Mark's expression shift. He had gone from skeptical to alert, the lines on his forehead deepening as he processed her words. The flicker of humanity that had been buried under his earlier cynicism began to emerge. "Let us do something," Mark said, taking a breath, steadying his voice. "There are probably emergency services on the way, but we should get out there and help in any way we can." Patricia's heart swelled at his willingness to step up. The crowd, now ignited by a blaze of purpose, started to flow toward the exit, leaving behind the remnants of their earlier apprehensions. Thomas squeezed Patricia's hand, a firm solidarity in the chaos. "You sparked this," he whispered, his eyes shining with admiration and purpose. "Thank you for daring to connect. You turned us around." Patricia felt warmth in her chest, a feeling that the night had shifted into something real, impactful. The attendees now formed a line at the door, their expressions shifting from doubt to resolution, but as they stepped outside, the scene unfolded before them, a swirling chaos of emergency lights, frantic voices, and a crowd gathering at the scene. Her heart dropped as she caught sight of the young woman who had been standing beside her moments before, standing amidst the turmoil, eyes wide and filled with terror. "Someone has to go to her," Patricia cried out, instinctively breaking away from the group. "Patricia, wait!" Thomas called after her, panic edging into his voice, but it was too late. The call of humanity had awakened something deep inside Patricia, overriding every fear she had ever held. In that moment, she was not just participating in a party turned to chaos, she was stepping into a reality that mattered. What she couldn't anticipate was how deeply this moment would entwine her life with those around her, and what would unfold next could change everything for them all. With her heart racing, Patricia rushed forward into the unknown, feeling the world behind her shrink as a new chapter of her life began to unfold. Patricia moved through the sea of chaos, her mind racing. The noise was overwhelming, siren wails mingling with the frantic shouts of neighbors trying to make sense of what they could see. She focused on the young woman in the center of it all, pale and stunned, as if she were trapped in a glass box while the world shattered around her. "Hey! Are you okay?" Patricia called, her voice cutting through the frenzy. The woman turned, and for a second, their eyes locked. In that moment, something passed between them: fear, uncertainty, and the glimmer of hope. The woman shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. I don't know what to do. My sister was in the car. Patricia felt her heart squeeze tight. We're going to get her help. Stay with me, okay? There was a tremor in her own voice, but she drew in a breath and willed her courage to swell. As she reached out, the woman instinctively took Patricia's hand. The warmth between them felt electric, a bridge connecting their fears and their determination. Patricia could see Thomas pushing through the crowd, a look of concern etched on his face. She waved him over, and he hurried to her side. What do you need? He asked, scanning the chaotic scene. The girl's sister may be hurt. We have to find her, Patricia started, but she lost her words as a police officer rushed by, a look of urgency in his eyes. Over here. We need people with first aid knowledge. He yelled. Without thinking, Patricia turned to Thomas. We can help. Let us go. They pushed through the gathering crowd, almost as if propelled by a shared purpose that made everything else fade away. They reached the front lines where a few emergency personnel were tending to a couple of people on the ground, and panic gripped Patricia's stomach. Suddenly, it felt very real, a slice of life, raw and unpredictable. We're here to help, Thomas said, urgency lacing his tone. They quickly assessed the situation, offering whatever support they could. As they worked alongside the first responders, Patricia could see the young woman pacing back and forth a few meters away, anxiety etched on her face. Please, can you find out if my sister is okay? The woman pleaded, an edge of desperation in her voice. I saw the car flip, and I don't even know where she is. I promise, we will, Patricia said softly, reaching out to hold her gaze steady. Just stay right here. We'll send someone to check. They took turns assisting with bandages and comfort, and slowly, the chaos began feeling manageable. A strong sense of community sprang up around them. Neighbors were stepping forward with water, blankets, and the resolve to help one another. This was humanity at its best, as if kindness pulsed through the air. After what felt like hours, an officer came to join them, an expression of grim determination on his face. Patricia's breath hitched in her throat when she saw him approach the young woman. I'm sorry, he began, and Patricia's heart sank. She held on to the woman's hand tightly, ready to offer whatever comfort she could. Is my sister? The woman's voice trembled. But before he could finish, a shouting sound erupted from further down the street, and the crowd turned as medics rushed to a small figure being carried on a stretcher. Patricia felt her heart hitch again as recognition washed over her. Wait. Is that her? The atmosphere shifted, eyes wide with hope and fear intermingling. As they rushed closer, Patricia caught glimpses of the girl's face, pale but alive, and relief flooded through her, but just as joy began to spark, Patricia noticed something in the air shift once more. The energy felt charged, almost foreboding. Little did she know that the reveal of that moment was only the beginning, a ripple that would change every life involved, including her own. What would happen next, as secrets buried deep began to surface and intertwine their destinies? Patricia held her breath as the stretcher drew nearer, the young girl's eyes fluttering open momentarily. Relief washed over Patricia, but it was quickly tempered by the haze of confusion and chaos around them. Sirens wailed, and the crowd buzzed with anxious energy. She clasped the young woman's hand tightly, offering strength even as her own knees felt weak. It's going to be okay, Patricia said softly, though her voice trembled. She's coming back to you. The young woman's eyes brimmed with tears, but a glimmer of hope sparkled within them. Thank you, she whispered, barely able to speak as the medics worked swiftly to stabilize her sister. As the paramedics took the girl away, Patricia glanced at Thomas, whose determination mirrored her own. They both exchanged a look, a silent acknowledgement of what had just transpired. Their bond had deepened in this moment, wrought from shared fear and vulnerability, igniting a spark of courage neither quite knew they held. Let us follow them, Thomas urged, his voice steady and reassuring amid the continuing chaos. They weaved through the crowd, pushing past what had become more than simple onlookers. They were a community rallying to support each other. Once they reached the hospital, an uneasy sense of waiting clouded the air, mingling with the antiseptic smell. The tension felt thick, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. The young woman clung to Patricia's arm, and Patricia could feel the fear radiating from her. "I can't lose her," she murmured, her voice breaking. "I've already lost so much." Patricia's heart ached. "You're not going to lose her. You're here. You're strong," Patricia reassured her, mindful of her own unspoken fears. Could she hold on to that strength, too? When the doctor finally emerged, Patricia's heart felt like it was about to leap from her chest. "She's stable," the doctor said, and a collective sigh of relief surged through the waiting area. But the doctor's next words sealed the moment in Patricia's memory. "There will be a long road ahead for her recovery." As the young woman slipped from Patricia's grasp to rush to her sister's side, Patricia stepped back, allowing space between them. Grief mingled with joy as she watched their embrace. The chaotic night that had begun in a community center now shifted into a life lesson of resilience, connection, and the weight of empathy, yet deep inside, she felt change stirring within her. It was the spark ignited by her confrontation with Henry, and the shift in Mark's attitude, reinforced by their connection with strangers. It made her realize that moving forward held potential, but it also meant facing what she had kept inside. Just then, Henry arrived, the worry etched on his face replaced by relief as he spotted Patricia. The world faded away. "I was looking for you," he said, stepping closer. "I heard about the accident. We're okay," she replied, drawing strength from Thomas on her other side. This journey had taken all of them to a place she had never expected, a space of unity, strength, and promise. With newfound determination, she turned to them both. "We can't just stand by. We have to help those affected. This community needs more than a moment, it needs real change." Henry's eyes sparkled with understanding. "You're right. We can band together and create something impactful. It's not just about planning a festival, it's about creating a movement." Mark, who had been lingering nearby, stepped forward. "I realize now that true class doesn't lay in wealth. It's what we do for each other." The transformation in his attitude gave Patricia hope, and in that moment, it all felt possible. With glimmers of smiles and solemn nods, they set in motion a response despite their differences. This shared purpose felt like magic, their combined energies blossoming into a force greater than any individual. As they settled back into a rhythm of movement, a sense of clarity settled within Patricia. She might stand apart, but that was her strength. Her scars could light the way for others to feel safe embracing their own imperfections. And together, they would strive to heal their community not just from the accident, but through every judgment and every gap that had once stood between them all. Bonded in this pivotal moment, they each knew this was just the beginning of becoming changemakers. As they stepped forth into the night, Patricia felt a fierce exhilaration build within her, a determined heartbeat echoing her devotion to not just witness change, but to become it. All those dreams wrapped in vulnerability ignited as she stepped into the light, ready to embark on the journey they would forge together. Patricia transformed that night, not just for herself, but for her family, her community, and for everyone looking to change the narrative. They would rise from the ashes of their past, standing united, with hearts full of empathy, and so, the night became etched in their stories, a vivid tapestry of moments stitched together in hope, resilience, and the undeniable spark of human connection that binds us all. Now is your moment. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this incredible community. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful journey and how it resonated with your own life, and remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Your support means everything to keep these stories alive and vibrant.